Still the purification is the biggest problem, the purification. Once, if you don't have purified, if you have no good purification, as Montaigne said, if you have no good, you got to have purification to be able to characterize the virus. Even if one assumes that Montaigne and Gallo and the particles are retroviral particles, the reverse transcriptase is specific to retroviruses, to say that you have a unique retrovirus, you must characterize, you must its proteins and its RNA. You must show that these have proteins and RNA which is not present in other retroviruses.
And why, in your mind, is there such inconsistencies in identifying the virus among the experts?
The particles?
Yes.
I don't know. We cannot say that you have a new retrovirus unless you show that it has unique proteins and unique RNA. And to show that, you must purify the virus. There is no other way. If you say that these proteins and this RNA are HIV RNA and HIV protein, you must somehow obtain them from the virus particles. But because the viral particles are so small, the next best thing is to obtain them from a mass of material which contain nothing else but retrovirus particles.
Well, when I talked to Flossie Wongstall, she said that you don't necessarily have to take pictures. You can go to the culture and look for viruses budding as evidence of release of virus.
Yes, as I said to you, budding and retrovirus-like particles, just seeing them in the culture, there is no proof that they are retrovirus. That is no evidence. Take pictures from the culture is no proof that they are virus. And certainly you cannot prove just looking at that. There are so many things there in the culture which also contain proteins, which also contain RNA and contain DNA. To say that HIV has 9 proteins and HIV has a genome, a unique genome, 9 genes, you must have evidence that these proteins originated from the viral particles. And to do that, you must take these particles out from the culture. You got to have them out. You must purify them. You must obtain them separate from everything else which contains proteins.
She said that there were problems that when you spin the particles under the high-speed centrifuge,
yes,
that they often distort, or they lose their envelope, or they break apart. And that's why it's almost impossible to purify viruses. No,
there are many pictures of electron micrographs of retroviruses which have been purified. You know, I can show you, including this one, a root sarcoma virus. When you take somebody to court for a paternity suit, you must have evidence that the blood originated from the father and from the child. There is no other way. You must have proof that they originated from the father and from the child to compare the DNA. The same way, if you want to say that these proteins are from HIV, you must have them coming from HIV. But the particles are too small, so the best next thing is to purify viruses. And this is not me who says it. I mean, this is all the retrovirologists, including Montaigne, including Charmaine, including Barré-Sinoussi. That is, you know, this is so simple. So you must have purification. That is the only way. You see, this is what HIV. Retroviruses have the matter of 100 to 120 nanometers. They have a cone-shaped core. They have the lateral bodies, and they have knobs.
What are the knobs?
When we see HIV being diagrammatically represented, you see there's some spikes coming out from the particle. And these knobs are extremely important for effectivity. Again, according to all the HIV experts, if you the knobs are crucial. They are essential for infection. No knobs, no infection. And there is no infection, the particles cannot be viruses. Now here it is a paper which was published by several authors, with a co-author, Geldenblum, and they say they have found that on the average, immediately after release, after the knobs are released, the particles into the fluid, there are 0.5 knobs per particle. And they said even these 0.5 knobs, they may be false positive. That is, there are no knobs at all.
The knobs here look like little knobs everywhere.
Okay. There's a chance that you have some dirt, of course, in the cell culture. And these would be knobs from a particle that is cut tangentially. Here's the same. That's my interpretation. So my interpretation. But here are the knobs. Here might be there might be some dirt. Here, sure, that is dirt from preparation.
Mm-hmm. But don't these look like knobs too, coming off of this big one?
Yeah, there are glycoproteins also on the cell.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now we have to differentiate between them. If we would like to go for differentiation, we have to use immunoelectron microscopy to make a tag. It's either the glycoprotein or it's something different.
In a paper published in 2003, the author stated, the closed off GP180, that is the knobs, do not form spikes on the surface of HIV, as is commonly described in the literature. We suggest the spike knob observed by negative staining electron microscopy may be an artifact of the penetration of heavy metal stains between the envelope proteins.
What exactly does that mean?
That means that despite some people claims that there are knobs on the HIV particles, these authors say that the particles have no knobs, in plain language. This is a paper published 2006 in Nature. Here it is SIV, simian immunodeficiency virus. And in these particles, you can see many knobs. But when you come to the electron micrograph of what is meant to be HIV particles, there are hardly any knobs. In fact, we can see only one there, but you can see the same thing down there. And you don't know if there are knobs or there is some artifact there. In fact, the authors call them putative knobs. Or putative means supposedly HIV knobs. Mm-hmm. So the authors do not have, even today, proof that the HIV particles have knobs which are crucial for infection. Even if we admit, even we accept that there are knobs, there are 0.5 knobs immediately per particle on the average, immediately after they are released, they are lost. Even those small number is lost very rapidly, according to Geldenblum. And these knobs being lost so rapidly, and factor VIII preparation taking a long time from the time the blood is taken to the time factor VIII is prepared is a long time. And even after it is prepared, may stay on the bench for months before it is used. So it is impossible for hemophiliacs, the factor VIII, to contain an infectious HIV particle, even if HIV exists.